I think, yeah, I think you look amazing.
Really?
Amazing. October Red here.
Oh,
With the lovely, sorry, yeah, it was a bit loud, wasn't it?
That was the bag.
It was the bag, not my arse.
Yeah.
October Red here with the lovely Spencer Oliver. Spencer Oliver, welcome back. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. And it's good to be back.
It feels like I haven't seen you for ages.
I think you've seen me, but you've not interviewed me. There's a difference.
True. Why are we here today? This isn't going to go out before anything, so we can discuss whatever we like, because these will be uploaded on the train. And sorry, audience, you might be watching this on YouTube, or you could be listening to it on Apple Podcasts. Either way, we hope you enjoy it. And our guest today, proper introduction, is Spencer Oliver, the man with many hats.
I like that. Right, we are here today for a big announcement. Chris Eubank Jr. has reactivated his fight contract, as we know. Start again. Can we start that again?
We can do whatever you like. I never edit stuff out, you know.
All right, so this is...
Yeah.
So Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith is back on. June the 17th, exclusive. June the 17th, with a great undercard as well. Savannah Marshall's boxing Cruz in the undercard.
To be fair, Twitter already had all of this out already. Twitter's a place now where there's no real secrets in boxing, so we kind of like knew what was going on anyway.
Yeah.
But what I can touch on is obviously the reactivation, the rematch clause, something that Callie Sowland was really adamant. Look, I've put that in everyone's contract. Somebody could get injured. Somebody could win the fight by default. He was keen about that rematch. So talk to us about that from obviously the boxer point of view.
Well, I think that, I think it's just a little bit of insurance, isn't it, for the fighters. When you get fights of a certain magnitude, like that was a pay-per-view fight, some the fighters want insurance. I do understand it. I get it. Let's have it right. I think going into that fight, Eubank was probably the A side. So, he was, and he's going right. So, and a lot of people felt Eubank were going to win that fight. So, had Eubank won that, I'm not sure there would have been a rematch clause in place. I'm not sure how that would have worked. But because Liam Smith had it, I think Eubank on his side had that rematch clause, and now they're going to activate it. I mean, going off the last fight, you go, wow, now Liam Smith's surely going to start a huge favourite. But I think this is still intriguing for so many other reasons. I think that performance last time against Chris Eubank Jr., his lack of ability to soak up a shot, really, is probably a better way of saying it. Like his punch resistance wasn't there. And I think that was down to him making that weight with Conor Benn. And we saw what he looked like down at 157 and he looked terrible. And I think making that weight and then coming back up the weight again still affected his punch resistance at that stage. I think we may get a different fight this time. I think that when we saw with Eubank, he was getting hit with jabs, everything was rocking, taking nothing away from Liam Smith in his performance, because he's a great fighter. But I still think that the punch resistance from Eubank probably affected from that making that weight with Conor Benn. I'll give you an analogy on that, right? So that people understand it. When fighters go up and down a weight, sometimes when they're coming back down in weights, it affects their ability or their durability and their punch resistance. I'll give you an example. Roy Jones, when he moved up to heavyweight and boxed John Ruiz, when he done that, won the world heavyweight title, then he come back down and boxed Antonio Tarver, but it was never the same again. The punch resistance was never there. I think at a certain stage of a fighter's career, especially when they're getting older, the ability to be able to go up and down in weights affects the body and the punch resistance. And I think that showed against you with Eubank last time out. I think now he would have had more time to readjust his body. It might be a different fight, but that makes it intriguing for those reasons I've just said.
There's one thing that you've touched on there, and I'm always intrigued about the political side, the business side of boxing. You said obviously the Eubank, which is Team Wasserman, had that rematch clause in place as kind of like a safety net.
Yeah.
And you're saying you're not sure how that would have worked if it was the other way around. Now, say it was the other way around, and Eubank won, what would then still go into place if there was a rematch, but then Eubank says, no, I don't want it? What I'm trying to get at is, how do the promoters then sit at a table and decide if there's going to be a rematch or not?
No, I think what happens is that if there's a rematch clause, that's what I'm saying On Liam Smith's side, I don't know if the rematch clause was in place, but I knew Eubank's side was, but I'm not sure if they did. They may well have, they may well have had that. I don't know if they did, but because Eubank obviously lost, I then found out quite quickly that there was a rematch clause in place. And how that works is that if the rematch clause is built into the contract before, like these are all the final parts that, when you hear things like, why didn't we get Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua? Why didn't we get Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk? Because he go, we're only 1 point away. When I spoke to Frank Warren, he said, Spence, we're only 1 point away. That might be the 1 point that they couldn't agree on the rematch clause. They didn't want that in, so there's loads of there's loads that goes on behind making these fights at this sort of level. Eubank's obviously had that there, and he activated that rematch straight away. So once you activate the rematch, contractually, you're under. You're already in there. So that going into the fight, really. And that's the idea of setting up these. It's like an insurance, like I said. And that's what it is. That's the sort of, that's the business side of things that people don't really see. But, like just recently, like people, like over the last couple of years with the big heavyweight fights that we haven't got, for whatever reason, the political side of things, that we couldn't get the fights over the line for one reason or another. That's what it is, the complications that go on behind making the fight, all the other stuff that goes with it is not easy.
Yeah, rematches as Liam just walks in and we're talking about dyeing hair. You don't dye your hair, do you?
No, come on, mate. Come on, my hair's good though, isn't it? But I had a hair transplant, don't you?
Did you? Like Rooney?
Yeah, you know that.
No.
I'll have to show you after. I was gone.
Yeah, but what's wrong with being bald?
No, I just didn't want to be bald. So, because you can do it, can't you? So I didn't do it, but I don't dye it, no, because can you look on my sides? You can see when you look close.
Not really, it's quite deceptive.
No?
So,
little bits of grey. But I've got
I ain't bothered about grey, I ain't bothered about no hair.
But
we're here.
It is what it is. Call it vanity, call it what you want.
Whatever.
It is what it is.
Whatever, yeah.
But, I just wanted hair. I like hair. Well, in the right places.
I was about to say you can take it all off and then spend the rest of your life trying to get it all back.
My chest.
But is that a boxing thing though?
No, just don't like hair on my body.
Just on your face and on your head.
I like it on my face.
I'm going to leave this because this is going to go wrong. Anyway, we are talking rematches. So, like you said, the political side.
The political side is. That's the things that go on behind the scenes. That that's between the teams, and that's how you get fights that are made and they fall they fall out at the last minute because they can't agree on certain terms. We get this one again because the rematch clause was in place. Eubank activated that rematch clause, so here we go again. And obviously, with the fight being so conclusive in Liam Smith's favour, he's taken the fight. So it's a big fight, isn't it? It's a huge fight, pay-per-view fight.
Well, how do you see it going this time? Because, fair enough, it was conclusive last time, and it was, because it was a stoppage.
Yeah, it's hard to, because it was so one-sided last time, it's hard to see in the other way. But, Eubank will give us his reasons today on why he performed the way he did. But from what we saw, it was a very one-sided fight, wasn't it? So it'd be interesting to see how Eubank can turn that around. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned about weight there, and we can move on to the girls, because obviously another part of this press announcement, it's two parts, is Savannah Marshall is going to be taking on Cruz Dillon.
Cruz what?
No. Dillon. No, Cruz Dillon.
Cruz Dillon. Yeah, but it's not though. That's not her name. What's Cruz's first name?
Yeah, but it's just franchise. But it's Cruz Dillon. That's the surname.
Yeah, just Cruz. Yeah. Franchon Cruz. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they boxed together, by the way. Savannah Marshall and Cruz.
Share it.
They boxed in the amateurs together in an Olympic qualifying tournament. Actually, it took place in London, and Savannah Marshall won that fight. Cruz also boxed Clarissa Shields in her debut as a professional, losing that one, and she's won every fight since. It's a good fight, to be fair. It's a good fight. Cruz is right up for it. Marshall looking to become undisputed now at super middleweight. We saw the great fight she had, but what we also saw was that marked the beginning of huge things for women's boxing. I think that proved that women's boxing had evolved so much. They filled the O2, spectacular night, all women's card, and Savannah's here again in another great fight. I think women's boxing at the moment really is flying because there ain't no politics in it. We're getting the fights that we want to see, and they're delivering. To be fair.
Yeah, but that's because it's a smaller pool. I guarantee you, more women come into it, it's going to get political. I can see it happening already.
100%. But where we're at with it right now, and look at the standard, the way the standard's improved as well. At top level, it's impressive. Yeah, but where we're at now, like you say, the pool is a lot smaller, and the best want to fight the best because there's a smaller pool. But from what we get from that is good fights, and her and Cruz is a good fight as well.
May I ask, is Savannah Marshall actually a boxer fighter? Because the reason why I ask this is because I'm getting a bit confused because we've got fighters that box under certain promotional companies, under certain broadcasters, but then we're hearing, well, actually, they're a free agent. It's sort of like a fight-by-fight basis. Is Savannah Marshall a boxer fighter?
Don't know the contracts. I don't know where she was at after that last fight, what the contracts were. I can find that out there. Because I don't know if she's got a fight-by-fight contract with Boxer, whether she's on a 3-fight, 5-fight deal, long-term deal. I'm not really sure, if I'm honest. I've not asked that out. I saw her obviously back on this event again, and yeah, she's working with Boxer, that's for sure.
We've also heard little whispers that there's possibly going to be a tournament. I mentioned something like that to Johnny Nelson, but obviously it was more like the British one with all of the promoters getting together and their prospects fighting it out. What do you think of this potential tournament-style fight that might be in Saudi?
Oh, in Saudi, what, the four-man tournament, like Joshua versus Wilder and Fury versus Usyk, winner boxes winner. Great. I know that Eddie's going over there for talks. We actually leaked that first, didn't we?
That was young Simon Jordan. I wouldn't mind getting him on the channel. You know, you're gonna have to pass on a message to him.
You should do. He's not an easy guy to track down though. Tough guy, but you should definitely get him on. He's an interesting guy. But the negotiations are happening. Saudi's obviously got the money to make that happen. Be interesting to see how it goes, isn't it? But their two fights will be on one night, by the way, and then like the winner boxes the winner. On a separate night. So yeah, I'd love that to happen because that just takes all the politics out of it and we get it done. So how do I think that would work? I don't know. I think that the Saudis would obviously put up a pool of money, 400 million they're talking about. And does that mean that they get the TV rights? So they choose where they want it to go, on what platform? That's maybe what, I think that's the stumbling block because obviously Tyson Fury being with BT and ESPN and, Alexander Usyk, being somewhere else and Anthony Joshua with his own. Yeah, who knows? Who knows where that will land? I think that's the complicated bit. But let's see what happens. But I think that's well and truly underway, those conversations, sure.
It's funny how it started out a leak and now that Deontay Wilder's putting, we're so close to it. How do you see that fight going with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder? And I asked that because I think there's a recent clip that's gone out from Sky Sports where Anthony Joshua talks about, he's not really aggressive by nature. He wants to use his brain more. He wants to be that boxer, even though previously I thought he was that aggressive guy. So your thoughts on that? You know him better than all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Joshua needs to rediscover the rawness that once took him to the World Heavyweight title. He's played around with all that, trying to outbox, one of the best heavyweights of our modern era in Alexander Usyk, and that didn't work. And even last time out against Jermaine Franklin, we saw a little bit hesitant at times, single shots. Joshua's good when he rolls the dice, boxes his heart on the sleeve, puts the combinations together, is explosive. And that's what he needs to rediscover. I think he knows that, and I think that was the idea of going out, training with Derek James, who's known as an aggressive sort of trainer. He likes the fighters to be aggressive, and I think that's all part of Joshua's journey. If he can rediscover that, he can beat anyone. He can beat any heavyweight out there. But it's a big if. Overcoming psychological damage is not easy, and maybe he's got slight psychological damage at the moment, lacking in a little bit of confidence, but he knows what he's got to do. I'm just hoping he can do it, my heart's with Joshua. Obviously, go back a long way with him outside of boxing. So obviously, of course, I want to see him. I want to see that old Anthony Joshua. If we can get the Anthony Joshua from 2015, Dillian Whyte, 2016 when he beat Charles Martin, that Joshua where he was a little bit raw and sort of rolled the dice a bit more. If we can get that Joshua back, then we're good. I don't want him to be technical. Do you know what I'm saying? Don't, because like Tyson Fury's the one with a boxing IQ and a ring craft. Alexander Usyk is the one that's like Joshua's styles make fights and fighters. Joshua's not that guy. Do you know what I mean? He can't be like Joshua. Yeah, it can be educated, but don't try and like be too smart. You're not going to be the guy that moves on around. You're the aggressive guy, and you're the explosive one. So take a little step back, then go again, then go again. Find phase 1, phase 2. Like I mean, sometimes even phase 3. But yeah, let's just see. He knows what he's got to do. Let's just say that. So yeah.
Do you think us as fans, and I always come from like a fan's perspective, I'm a boxing fan. Do you think that us as fans, you know, this side of the camera, need to just get used to the fact that possibly that old Anthony Joshua is long gone?
Well, this is what everyone's saying. Everyone's saying, see, like...
Not in a bad way either. He's trying to like rediscover.
Just get used to the new Joshua. I don't think so. I think we're going to rediscover that. If we don't, then I'm not sure he'll recapture the heavyweight title, because I think that we need to see that guy. Like, I think he knows that as well. Yeah, I want to see that Joshua back. That was the one that was, you know what I mean? That was the one that, you know, the one that boxed Klitschko. That, you know, he went through a bad time with Klitschko. He picked himself off the floor, but he turned it around and had a brilliant finish in that 11th round. He bit on his gum shield. Do you know what I mean? He recovered. That's the Joshua we need to see again. Don't be too hesitant. And I think that he's only been hesitant with what he's doing, you know, with his attacks and whatnot, because he's not confident in his own ability, because he's not confident. Because he's not reinstalled that confidence that's needed, because he hasn't got it's not a finished jigsaw. Like, what I'm saying is, like, he's trying to find the right trainer, he's been playing around with certain things. Go back to where it started. If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's where he was getting the success. Be the Joshua of old. Just let your hands go.
With Rob McCracken and Tony Sims.
No. I'm just saying, let your hands go. Like the Joshua, the fighter, the actual fighter. You know, I get that fighters, you know, feel like they're getting stale with certain trainers and they want to go on and they want to... Joshua's like a sponge. He'll go around and he takes in loads of bits, loads of information. Sometimes you can overload it. And I think that's maybe what he's done in the past, you know what I mean? Trying to sort of discover new things, trying out new things. Well, I think we now know at this stage of his career, like, you know, it's time to go back to where it started, mate, and see if we can recapture it for the third time, because I think, it, you know, as a fighter, that he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. I mean, I've known Joshua, like I say, like, you know, as an 18-year-old kid when he first walked in the gym and finished the ABC with my dad and my uncle Sean and all those, you know what I mean? That goes back to then. And he was just a kid that had talent. And you just watch him, and I've watched him grow and develop as a fighter. He's just a kid from a fucking cancer estate, do you know what I mean? That's just done good. And with all the pressure on his shoulders, because everyone knew his story, where he come from, what he was, he gave kids inspiration, hope. Do you know what I mean? Like, he changed fucking so many kids' lives, whether they were boxers or not boxers, through his journey and his story. Give him respect for that. He's been an Olympic gold medalist, a world silver medalist, 2-time world heavyweight champion. And he doesn't get the respect he deserves. And I think that's the sad thing about the Anthony Joshua story. And it's like 2012, when he won that gold in the Olympics, the amount of kids that went into the gym, the amount of kids that flocked the gyms because they wanted to be Anthony Joshua. You know, this kid that's come from a life of crime, drinking, smoking, fucking turned his whole life around and become an inspiration, an idol to everyone else. Give people hope. Like I say, the kids going, I can do that. I can come from that. Do you know what I mean? He done that at a late age, Joshua, 18 years of age. So I think that he deserves credit for that, and he deserves respect for that. And for me, he doesn't get enough of it. You know, and I think that's, you know, that's maybe a part of the legacy that he's looking to cement at the moment by becoming a 3-time world heavyweight champion, because he doesn't have to box anymore, financially secure. You know, he's in a good spot, but he does it because he loves it. You know what I mean? He loves entertaining and he loves, you know, putting on shows. People will miss Anthony Joshua when he's gone. People will miss the nights of Anthony Joshua boxing when he's gone. Do you know what I mean? There's everyone, like, you know, when you hear people when they go, like, he'll take, like say, when he boxed Jermaine Franklin, you look at some of the comments, oh, he's shit, he should retire. Yeah, but if he does, a lot of you are going to miss these big nights of boxing, because love it or hate it, the guy pulls in a crowd, and there are big nights and they're big events, and we've got to enjoy it while it's here.
We talk about that, and we can go over to, obviously, Poland. You had a card on the weekend where Babich unfortunately lost in the first round. I'm going to talk to you about kind of like the comments on Twitter. You know, Babich is a very entertaining fighter.
Yeah.
However, when you step up against a boxer, there's always that possibility that he's probably not going to come out on the best side. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Oh, so Alan Babich boxed Lucas Rozanski over there. Rozanski's like 38, 14-0, 13 KOs, 2 years out the ring. Alan Babich 11-0, 10 KOs. But what does Alan Babich bring to the table that others fights don't? He's like a novelty. He's like exciting. He's a big character, entertaining. Boxing ability, boxing ring craft, boxing IQ, zero. Street fighting in there, like taking it in there, like just getting there and being rough. That's where his strengths are, yeah? So I thought that you would never find anyone as raw as Alan Babich. And I found it in Rozanski, Lucas Rozanski. He actually made Alan Babich look like he was seasoned. Like he was even more wild and so I'm going, right. So when they interviewed me just before the fight, and they said, who wins this fight? I said, look, flip a coin, who wins it? I'll tell you who wins it. The guy that doesn't try to box. Because if he tries to box, he's not got the boxing ability to do that, and he'll become very vulnerable because he'll sit in the pocket and he'll get caught. What does Alan Babich do? He goes out there and he tries to box. And I go, you're going to get done, mate, because the other guy's coming out swinging. And, you know, it's one of those. It was like, you need to revert back to what you know in these situations. But what happened was he got caught first. And then that's basically, you know, that's what it was. Great entertainment, great week, big entertainment. And it was always going to be whoever landed the shot first. Rozanski won it. Babich never recovered. The referee jumped in and stopped it. Right stoppage as well. And that's it. If it happened again, that could quite easily go the other way. Babich could turn him over. But what I'm saying is, it's that old thing that I'm talking about with Joshua. Sometimes you need that rawness. Just be you. Because when you try and sort of do something that you're not, it doesn't always work out the best. And I think that's what Babich found out there.
Finally then, Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte, Martin McAuley. Sorry, I'm not going to laugh because I need to be professional, but it was funny. They're a little bit of to and fro in. Yeah. Dillian Whyte's giving an interview to a Polish, a national channel, and then obviously Martin McAuley shouting in the back. Dillian's trying to get his words out, and then all of a sudden he just turns around and bleats out these obscenities about Martin McAuley. What are your thoughts on that, Spen?
Well, listen, it's Dillian Whyte, innit? We knew that he oversteps the line from time to time. We knew that. McAuley just had a good win out there against the Ukrainian Hulk. He's WBA number 2. He's frustrated. He's like the chairman of the Who Needs Him, Who Wants Him club. He's going to have to work himself into mandatory position to get that shot because he's too good for his own good. You know what I mean? And he's calling out Dillian Whyte, saying, let's do it. And Dillian's like, what? Dillian's like, and he's going, no, get you in the ring. McAuley wants the big fights. Dillon was out there, look, he was out there because he had Babich. And he's been pulled into it. And Dillon bites anyway. And so, yeah, my thoughts on it. I'd love to see the fight.
Would you prefer to see that rather than McAuley versus Wilder? Because I think that's something that's circulating that Ben said.
Yeah, Ben said that he would like that, but that would never happen, McAuley versus Wilder. Not right now, anyway. McAuley would have to get himself into the position to fight Wilder. I can see... I tell you where McAuley goes next. It's either Dillian Whyte or Michael Hunter. And that's where he goes. Try and reverse the loss. Because that's probably what he needs to do. Hunter's the only one that's beat Martin McAuley before. And if I was McAuley and his team, I'd go, let's go over old ground. Let's get it done. Let's clean the slate, and then we'll go from there. So, yeah, from McAuley's point of view, I think Michael Hunter, Dillian Whyte.
What a perfect way to start the day off. Spencer Oliver, it's always a pleasure.
It was a rocky start.
We got there. Thank you so much.
You loosened me up now. I'm ready to go.
I loosened you up. Yeah. I'll take that as a positive. Right. Until the next time, Spen.
Thank you.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.